Hey there, guys. It's me, Zalo, and today I wanted to react to They Kept Seeing a Dead Woman by MrBallen. I've already liked it, and you should too. Go check out MrBallen, he's amazing. I've watched, I've watched his videos for a long time. He's awesome. Amazing person. So let's just get in here. His storytelling is like no other, so if you've never heard a story like this before, you're about to be blown away. I am ready to hear what he's talking about. They kept seeing a dead woman, so I'm guessing this is some kind of spiritual thing, and if you know me, I love weird, interesting stories. So, I'm just gonna let him talk. I will be pausing a lot throughout this video, so if you don't want that, you want to watch the original one and then probably come back to this video to see my reaction afterwards, then be aware of it, okay? Yeah, let's go.
They're not. In fact, they all were reported in reputable media outlets around the world. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload 2, 3, even 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, go ahead and start a friendly pillow fight with the like button, but don't tell them you've secretly filled your pillow with quarters. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications.
The like button is going down,
so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
MrBallen! I'm excited. I'm gonna turn him up a little bit, see.
On the afternoon of August 15th, 2022, a 24-year-old beauty influencer and blogger named Sharaban K put on her makeup in front of a mirror in her bedroom in Munich, Germany. But this was actually Sharaban's childhood bedroom. She was in the home she grew up in. And looking around, I mean, it looked basically exactly the way it had when she was a teenager, when she last lived here. There were still pictures of her with her high school friends taped to the walls, and there were brightly colored pillows and furniture, like it was a time capsule of when she was in high school. But now, you know, she's 24 years old. But the reason she was back here...
Wow, that's scarily close to my age, seeing as I just turned 24. This is creepy.
And living in this bedroom all over again is because just a few months ago...
Oh my god. I don't like this. Like, it just feels like I already relate to her too much.
Oh, she had separated from her husband and had to move back in with her parents. And while her parents did accept her home, they were not exactly happy to have her here. So Sharaban's family belonged...
That's hecka messed up, bro.
...a small ethnic religion called Yazidism. And one of the rules of this religion was that you absolutely cannot get divorced. And so this was a problem for Sharaban because things were not going well for her in her marriage, and she really wanted out. But both her parents and her husband's family refused to allow a divorce. And so she had just left. But in many ways, that had not solved the problem because basically everybody involved here, with the exception of Sharaban, was totally furious about the separation. I mean, Sharaban's own parents, they had agreed to take Sharaban back home, but it was on the condition that she would only be here until she and her husband fixed things, because they had to, because they couldn't get divorced. But Sharaban had no intention of ever going back with her husband. Really, no matter the pressure anybody applied, it was not going to happen. And this was primarily because Sharaban actually had a secret. And that was, a few weeks ago, she had met someone new, a young man named Shakir. And so when Sharaban was out at work, at least that's what she told her parents, in reality, she was actually just visiting with Shakir. And even though, you know, Sharaban understood that her romance with Shakir was not only sort of forbidden, but also brand new, she still felt like there was something very real between them that was worth holding on to. In fact, their relationship was so good in their own eyes that the two of them had been working really hard on this plan that was going to get Sharaban out of her current predicament and away from her own family, and critically, away from her husband and his family. It was going to get her out of this marriage. Now, Sharaban's phone buzzed on her makeup table, so she put down her mascara, she picked up her phone, and saw she had a notification from her Instagram account. So she opened the phone up, opened up Instagram, and saw she had a direct message from the person she was currently getting all made up for, who she planned on meeting that night. And meeting this person was actually the first step in Sharaban and Shakir's plan. And so Sharaban felt her nerves buzzing as she read the DM with
I'm not liking that.
excitement, and then afterwards she finished putting on her makeup, she brushed her long black hair, and then she grabbed her purse, and then she headed out into the living room, and she told her parents, who were out there, that she was heading out. She was going to Ingolstadt, a city about an hour away, and that she'd be back in maybe a few hours. And so her parents are like, great, we'll see you then. And so Sharaban, she smiled, she walked out the door, she climbed into her Mercedes, and she drove off. But
he just painted a beautiful picture for me. I'm sorry. Better be ready. I don't know if it's gonna be her going or it's gonna be somebody else going, but this is not good.
We'll see you then. And so Sharaban, she smiled, she walked out the door, she climbed into her Mercedes, and she drove off.
What I mean by going is passing away.
But Sharaban, that night, didn't come back. A few hours after she left her house, her mom began texting her, asking where she was. But Sharaban didn't answer. So eventually her mom began calling her, but her phone just rang and went straight to voicemail, and she didn't call back. And by about 11 p.m. that night, when still Sharaban had not come home and nobody had seen or heard from her, Sharaban's mom was getting really worried. So the city where Sharaban had said she was going to, Ingolstadt, was actually where her husband lived. And so Sharaban's parents had actually been secretly kind of excited that maybe they were patching things up tonight and they might be getting back together soon. But for Sharaban to just disappear like this late at night and tell nobody was just so out of character that Sharaban's mom now couldn't help but think, like, well, what if Sharaban and her husband did see each other, and what if they got into a big fight? Like, what if something bad happened? She didn't know. And so for her mom, she just couldn't stand to just wait around and hope her daughter turned up or hope her daughter got in touch. And so instead, she told her husband to grab the car keys because they were going to Ingolstadt to find their daughter. By about midnight, Sharaban's mother and father were in the car, Sharaban's dad was driving, and they were speeding through Ingolstadt. They were getting close to Sharaban's husband's flat, and their plan was to go knock on his door, didn't matter how late it was, and just see if Sharaban was in there or if the husband knew where she was, just anything to help them find their daughter. However, as they turned onto a quiet street that ran alongside a river, the mom suddenly yelled out to her husband, "Stop the car, stop!" And so the dad, he hits the brakes, he pulls over and stops, and the mom leaps out and she's pointing at something, and it's their daughter's car. It was parked right off the road, the Mercedes, right near the bank of the...
I don't like that either. Dude, that is really messed up. Dang. What do you think happened there already?
This river. And so as the mom is running up to the car, she's telling herself that, like, here's the explanation. My daughter must have just had car troubles. That's why she's delayed. That's why she hasn't been in touch. Like, here it is.
Wouldn't she have called you? Wait. I don't understand. She's like, I have car troubles, or, insurance, she would have probably had, like, them, somebody, like, come over there, tow the car, and, get it back closer to her place, at least. That way they fix it at their shop, and then she goes and gets it. Something like that, it could be anything. There's no way she would just be, like, just sitting out there for...
It's like, no big deal. She's going to be in here. Everything's going to be fine.
You sure about that?
But she runs up to the driver's side of that car, and she looks in, and at first, she doesn't see anything. There's nobody in the front two seats of the car. It looks like no one's in there.
Yeah.
But then she looks into the back seat of the car, and she sees Sharaban, and she clearly is dead. Just minutes later, this street was absolutely crawling with police officers and emergency vehicles. And not long after that, Sharaban's parents, who were standing not far from their daughter's car, had to watch as police officers pried open the locked back door of their daughter's car, and then they reached in and they pulled out Sharaban's lifeless body. And she was covered in blood, and her body was also showing signs of rigor mortis. So it was sort of stiff, and to the parents, it was just horrible. The discovery of Sharaban's body immediately launched a full-scale police investigation. The city of Ingolstadt was relatively small, with a population of just about 80,000 people, and most years there actually were no murders there at all. So this was like a really big deal. When the homicide detectives showed up on the scene, right away, just from looking at the body, they could tell that whoever killed Sharaban had done so in sort of like a wild frenzy, because Sharaban had been stabbed more than 50 times in the torso and the face. And so to detectives, this kind of overkill suggested that whoever killed Sharaban had to have had some really personal reason to go after her. And it didn't take the lead detectives very long to learn from Sharaban's very distraught parents that Sharaban's marriage was in trouble. And her estranged husband actually lived nearby, and they believed, the parents, that perhaps Sharaban had come here to Ingolstadt to visit with him.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah. But you think it's him? You think maybe he had something going on there? Interesting.
So he lives nearby. They're in the process of potentially getting divorced, and so the detectives are thinking, seems an awful lot like the husband could be involved here.
Yeah.
Within a couple of hours, Sharaban's body had been...
I would have drawn the same conclusion. Even though I'm not,
shipped off to the medical examiner for an official autopsy. And at the same time, the lead detective on the case had gone to Sharaban's estranged husband's home and hauled him down to the police station to be interviewed. Now, the detective had figured this would be a pretty, open and shut case. He fully expected the husband to have visible injuries on him and to be acting very wired and nervous because he's the one who must have killed Sharaban. However, when the detective actually met the husband turned out to be a very weak suspect. He had cooperated immediately and fully with investigators, and even offered to let them search his home and take his DNA. And he had an alibi for most of the evening before he'd gone to bed. And even though technically he didn't have anyone who could vouch for him while he had been sleeping, at least according to him, the detective doubted that just based on time, he would have been able to get up, leave his place, go kill her, dispose of the body, clean up, and then get back home again. It didn't seem possible. As for Sharaban's own family, beyond the husband, they really had no other idea about who might have wanted to hurt her. To their knowledge, Sharaban didn't have any other romantic partners other than her estranged husband, and she didn't socialize much outside of work. They said that really the only place where she met new people was on social media, because she was a beauty influencer, and she posted photos and videos and gave advice on fashion. So 8 hours after Sharaban's body was discovered, so this is the morning of August 16th, the lead detective put out a release to the media asking for help from the public to identify suspects. And then he started digging into Sharaban's social media accounts. Just 24 hours later, on the morning of August 17th, 2022, so now just a day and a half after Sharaban was found dead inside of her car, her murder was solved. But the people involved in this murder truly shocked everyone. So Sharaban, she meets this new guy, Shakir, and she's madly in love with him.
Interesting.
And the two of them, they just want to run off and be together. But Sharaban's, she's married, and she can't get out of that marriage very easily. And so the two of them, Sharaban and Shakir, they're trying to think of, how can we get Sharaban out of this marriage? How can we free her? And at first, it was like dead end after dead end. There was no way out. But then they thought of something, and it was very clever. But it was something that they needed help doing. It was not just in their power to pull this plan off. They needed a third person. Specifically, they needed to find another influencer, another beauty influencer. And so on the night of August 15th, so this is the night that ultimately Sharaban...
Find another beauty influencer. What would be the purpose of finding another person that also does beauty influencing? To make it look realistic? To make the blood look realistic? That doesn't make any sense though, no. Because I said rigor mortis. Unless they did some Juliet and Riley type shit on. Some Juliet and Romeo type shit. Where they put some kind of poison in themselves and then they actually could wake up a little bit later or something. But it stiffens their body for a certain amount of time while they're asleep. And it makes their heartbeat really, really slow to the point that it seems like they might be passed away already, even though their heart's just beating really slow. Is that even a real drug or a real thing? I don't know. But, is that what she did? She's like, nope, I passed to get out of a divorce with her husband.
Was found dead inside of her car, she found an influencer that was going to be perfect for this plan. Her name was Khadija, and she was also a beauty influencer. And on the night of the 15th, that's the person that Sharaban was going out to meet. That was the person she was messaging with on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so Sharaban and also Shakir, they go into Ingolstadt and they meet up with Khadija, but they didn't fully inform Khadija about what exactly this plan entailed. In fact, really all they told Khadija was that once we meet up with you, we're beauty influencers, we have some really cool beauty products that we'll just give you. And Khadija's like, great. And so Sharaban and Shakir, they drive up alongside the curb, and there's Khadija, and she sees them, and she's all excited. She gets inside the car, inside of Sharaban's Mercedes, and once she's inside, she doesn't receive beauty products. Instead, Sharaban and Shakir pull out knives, and they proceed to stab Khadija to death, right there inside of the car.
Is it because she looks the closest to,
And then once she was dead, Sharaban and Shakir drove the Mercedes right outside of Sharaban's estranged husband's apartment complex. They left the car there with the body inside, and then Sharaban and Shakir fled. It was all part of the plan. I mean, Khadija didn't know the plan, but it was all part of Sharaban and Shakir's plan. However, there's one detail that I've left out to this point that is effectively the actual reason Sharaban and Shakir were so convinced their big plan was going to work. So Sharaban didn't just need some random beauty influencer for their plan to work out. No, their plan was that Sharaban would find another beauty influencer that looked a lot like her, hopefully, that they would kill, they'd plant their body, and then Sharaban would take their identity, and she and Shakir would run off under this new false identity and live their lives.
Makes no sense. That only happens in weird fantasy novel books and awful movies. But yeah, not in real life.
Free of the marriage that Sharaban was trapped inside of. That was their plan. So they start looking for an influencer, and they find Khadija. And she is like an exact replica of Sharaban. They
do look pretty similar, yeah. But I see differences, of course. There are differences. But they don't look exact. 1000% to a T. Because their noses are different. And she has a Cupid's bow chin, and she doesn't. And I think her eyebrows are drawn on to be darker a little bit in some areas, and hers isn't, so that sets them apart a little bit. I don't know, there's just small details that make them look like different people, obviously. Or, they're not the exact same face, but they have very close symmetry to each other.
Identical. So much so that after they murdered her and planted her body inside of Sharaban's car and left her there to be discovered, they had everybody fooled, including Sharaban's own parents. They saw the body and they're like, oh, that's my daughter. They believed fully it was their daughter. The plan worked. And the husband's implicated for killing Sharaban. Everything's working.
All they gotta do is a blood test or some kind of DNA test. Come on. Do the DNA test? It's not her. What? Who is she?
Out. But the one person that was not fooled was ultimately the coroner. Because when he began doing the autopsy, the body looked exactly like Sharaban's, except their teeth were different. They had different dental records, and that is the thing that showed this is not Sharaban, this is somebody else. And so at the same time that the coroner made this discovery, also all these people in Ingolstadt were calling the police saying, I think I just saw Sharaban. I don't think she's dead at all. I think she's at this cafe, or I think she's walking down the road over here. She seems just fine. And initially, police sort of dismissed these tips as being just bad tips, but
that's why they kept saying this dead woman. It has nothing to do with spiritualism, but everything to do with insanity. Literally.
And they put it all together, and they looked at Sharaban's social media and her messages back and forth with Khadija, and when they saw a picture of Khadija, they put it all together. and they figured it out. And so after putting all these things together, they actually went and found Sharaban, who had been spotted on security footage. They arrested her, they arrested Shakir, and then after, speaking to them and putting all the evidence together, they figured out that this had been their plan all along. And so both Sharaban and Shakir were ultimately found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison.
Bound to happen. Bound to happen. Okay, I'm only gonna react to that one. That was really good. I like that story. I didn't like that story. I like the way it was told. Nuance, gave so much details that it made it feel like I was there, like I was seeing it, like I actually could physically picture it. And yeah, I feel like a movie a little bit, like I could see it scene by scene as it happened, with how much detail MrBallen added into the storyline. So yeah, that was good. And that person, Sherbon, she's not okay. I think she needs help, a lot of it. And I do mean mentally and physically, of course. That girl is not alright for her to have done that to somebody else like that. That's terrible. And to think they had the audacity to even think that they could actually get away with it. Dumb. Okay, I'm going to stop this now. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like, hit that bell, subscribe. That'll really help me out to grow. Leave a like and a comment as well. The comment can be of a recommendation for me for another video in the future. I like music, so you can recommend me music, or you can recommend me movie, shows, or another YouTube video. All kinds of things. I'm into spiritualism and conspiracies and food and just everything. So, leave me a recommendation if you have any. And also, if you have thoughts about this video, leave those below too. I am going to... I'm gonna go. Alright. Good day and good night. Bye!